So I feel like it was 2 minutes ago that we were all probably just at CES. I can't believe we're already at South by Southwest. This year is flying. Hello, my name is Ken Lagana. I'm the CRO for Media.net. We are an omni-channel SSP with a whole bunch of unique special sauce that I don't have time to go into today because it's all about my friend here, Kevin, and a lot of the things that he's doing. So, look, when we were preparing for this, I think what we hope to get across is something for everybody. We want to give a lot of information for you brands out there, and we also want to provide some insight to the media folks out there. So hopefully we achieve that, and if we do that, it'll be a home run. So, Kevin, you want to introduce yourself?
Great. Thanks, Ken. Great to join you on stage and great to be back on the stage, which I see versus a few years ago has grown a little bit in size.
It has. We've
grown
grown.
Size and altitude. So
the stage has grown up.
Very exciting. So yes, I lead the U.S. Neutrogena brand growth team, and I've been in the beauty industry for quite a while now.
He doesn't want to date himself.
We can count it in decades. And I've been on the business for about 7 months. So really exciting time. We have a lot of changes, a lot of things that we are bringing new in 2026. And it's just been a really exciting journey on this business.
Great. Well, I think I've sort of mixed these questions up a little bit. So, Kevin, hope you're on your toes here. But I wanted to start out with something that when Kevin and I were prepping for this discussion, what really hit me was the idea of the scientific differentiator for his brands. And so I wanted to start out with this question, which was, a lot of beauty brands talk about science, but Neutrogena really builds its brand around dermatologists and formulation expertise. So the question is, how do you translate scientific credibility into something consumers actually feel and trust?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ken. As you mentioned, we do the hard work on the back end. And what we do is we partner with dermatologists. We partner with scientists who are the best in the business at creating formulas that are going to be appropriate for many, many different use types. As you know, our portfolio ranges from basic everyday hydration all the way through to problem solution acne products that people come to trust, sun protection, which is so important in the prevention of cancer. And so the way we think about science is really something that we do on our side. We do the diligence, we do the clinicals so that at the end of the day, the consumer knows that whatever they use has been validated by Neutrogena, and whatever we are putting out there is going to deliver them real results and actually to make it easier for our consumers to have beautiful, fantastic skin, fantastic hair, and again, staying healthy with our sun protection line.
Awesome. I mean, one of the most trusted brands in the industry for skincare, sun care. So all of those things really ring true to me. As a corollary to that, I wanted to sort of dig into this story that you shared with me about creators lining up to ask Neutrogena scientists questions once that they realized, this is an event you were at, once they realized that they were actual researchers. They weren't just a bunch of fake folks in lab coats. They actually were real scientists. But you had to give people permission to sort of grease the skids for them to feel comfortable, right?
Absolutely. And I think it was at our Evenly Clear launch event, which is a line that we just launched for adult acne this year. And we did our launch event with creators and press in LA a couple of months ago. And that moment really kind of clued me into how much, I would say, opportunity there is to be credible for influencers and even for the press. And so we actually had brought out 3 of our formulators who worked on the lineup to the event, because we know that a lot of creators, whether it's with Skin Talk or there's huge communities across all of the platforms that are very engaged in skincare, and especially this consumer, someone who has adult acne, which can affect people up to 40 years old, by the way. So if you have acne, you're not alone. So we knew that.
By the way, that was a new piece of information to me. I didn't realize people had it that late, but
Yes, absolutely. A lot of people think that it's just in high school, but you can have breakouts or you can have scarring from acne that can impact you well into adulthood. And so it was really important for us to bring our scientists and our formulators to this event because the line was really brought together all of the most important active ingredients, and we did the tough work on our end. But what was interesting is that I noticed there weren't a lot of folks talking to our formulators who had their lab coats and were from our actual labs. So when I asked them, like, are any of the creators coming to talk to you? And they said, well, we're not really sure that they know who we are. And so when I did my intro speech about halfway through the event, I made sure to tell everyone, hey, these are our actual scientists. Like, they're not just people here that we hired to put on lab coats. They formulated every single product in this lineup from conception all the way through execution. They've done the clinical work. And so for the second half of the event, there was just a nonstop line of creators who wanted to really have the conversation with our scientists, understand, learn about our formulations, and learn about which products were right for their specific conditions.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing. Once you give people permission and give them the appropriate information, then they feel like these folks maybe are a little bit more approachable and they can actually get something from them. So that's really interesting. And then one of the other things we talked about was your expansion of the roster of dermatologists to represent different specialties and also demographics, which I think is really interesting. Why is that evolution important for modern healthcare-driven beauty brands?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we serve everyone. As a leading brand, we serve all types of skin, all types of hair, and beauty at the end of the day ties back to your biological differences, and there are types of hair that are more fragile than others. There are types of skin that is more prone to sun damage, for example, more prone to dryness, more prone to certain signs of aging. And so we understand how much lived experience is important nowadays. So while we have the science and while we very much do the diligence with our formulators and with dermatologists about the science piece, in order to make it relatable for consumers, we really want to tap into a variety of practicing dermatologists who have different populations and different specialties. What tends to happen with a lot of healthcare providers, as you may know from your own experience as a patient, is they become very specialized. Yeah. They become known for something in their local market, whether it's Miami or New York, wherever. And so when we've launched products around a certain condition, we're really digging in to understand who is a dermatologist that people are going to talk about women's hair shedding or women's hair thinning. Who are the dermatologists that are being called upon specifically to correct or address damage from sun? And you see that they tend to address certain populations. And so we're very eager as we continue to expand our relationships with healthcare providers to find those who are seeing patients day in and day out and have really developed that expertise beyond just their formal training, beyond clinicals that they may have run, but with the day-to-day patient experience.
And what I love about that is it's really not a one-size-fits-all. So the ability to almost have like a custom experience from a big brand that is well-known and well-known for all the great things that you guys do, that's really unique and interesting to me.
Yeah. So, and I think sometimes I make my team's head spin because every time we have a new project, I really pressure test by saying, like, let's find another derm, someone who has this specialty area. And I would add as well, part of connecting with consumers and having worked in beauty is, for the time that I have, is beauty is very personal and beauty is very sensitive. And so as a brand where I want to create a safe space for consumers to engage with our products or to engage with us, part of that is also choosing the right healthcare professional. So for the same reason that perhaps a lot of women may choose a female OBGYN, when we talk about women's hair thinning, I specifically wanted to have a female derm who's going to speak about the topic because men's hair loss is very well documented and known. I think we're all over it, like we expect it. Yeah, exactly. But we know that there's not a lot of conversation about hair shedding for women or hair thinning. And so I wanted to be very sensitive that we were choosing someone that wouldn't be perceived as talking down or feeling removed from the situation. So some of it comes down to patient populations, but some of it also comes down to what is the consumer experiencing, and how are they receptive to a message from an expert, but one that will really feel like support and have that closeness to what they're living as a patient.
You know, it's interesting in this world that we live in. You don't ordinarily think about these big brands having that level of sort of care, right, around people's different afflictions, if you will. So it was really interesting when Kevin and I were talking about prepping for this panel. It was really good to hear. So I wanted to make sure we sort of shined a light on that if we could. So very good, excellent. We're going to switch gears here a little bit. By the way, these are my cue cards, so I didn't need my glasses.
It's great, and then I can read them too.
You can read them
I don't have
too.
to have my glasses either.
Actually, I think they can all read it too. By the way, so we talked a little bit in our prep call about omnichannel and omnichannel strategy. So I really like the definition that you shared in our prep call. You had a crisp definition of omnichannel, and you said it's not being everywhere. It's assigning each channel a specific role in the customer journey or the consumer journey. So my question for you is, how do you think about that discipline when planning campaigns today?
Yeah, I'll try to give a succinct answer, but
no, we got a little bit of time. We got a little bit of time. Go for it. Rip.
The most important thing is really to put your feet in the shoes of the consumer and where they are in their journey. Even as a marketer, sometimes it helps when you think about different categories that you work in and just like how you discover products, how you're brought in, how you begin to develop trust in either brands or in certain categories or even certain ingredients. Because, I mean, within beauty, there's so many different solutions and formats or even ingredients. Again, I started with talking about our launch of Evenly Clear. I mean, it's one lineup that's seamless for the consumer, but on the back end, we have many different ingredients. So we have salicylic acid, we have a lot of different ingredients that go into the formulations, and so we make it very seamless. But understanding like where is someone in the journey, are they looking for a full solution, or have they heard about an ingredient and they want to do the research and they want to get more into it? So just understanding like what are platforms that are video driven, ones that are text driven, ones where we're talking with voices of authority like healthcare professionals versus, again, also consumers with lived experience. So when you think about, I'm doing a panel with them at the Female Quotient on Reddit because we're actually launching an AMA with one of our derms for later this month. And
Reddit's like exploded. Man.
Exactly. So when you think about like the mindset when you're on Reddit, like you're there to read through like a good 200 long comments. You're there to understand, did someone else experience benefits with a product? What were the drawbacks? What worked? What exceeded expectations? What maybe didn't meet their expectations? And so it's just being very clear about like when we're thinking about who's coming across our content, are we giving people something interesting that is going to capture their share of mind and share of watch? Like, is it something where they're going to read through a lot of content? Is someone in that stage of the journey, or is it more just kind of a quicker before and after, or a quick kind of end result look?
Yeah, I mean, look, creating for the platform is vital. You know, otherwise, you know, you're missing valuable audiences and, frankly, running the risk of pissing them off. So I think that's smart. So in our prep call, you highlighted Amazon and Walmart PDPs as critical destinations for consumers who may be doing deep product research. So my question is, what are the biggest mistakes brands make when they treat PDPs like just another product page rather than really what it is, which is a decision environment?
Yeah, I love that question. By the way, I noticed at the tail end of the panel before us, they were hitting on PDPs. So
that's why I kept that one in here, because I thought it was relevant.
Yeah, I mean, PDPs is very much where a lot of decisions are made, because it's an interesting spot. I guess a little contrary to maybe what I just said is people are in many different stages when they can come to your PDP. We know that they go right to retailer websites, sometimes searching for generic like high level, category level challenges they're having, but they're also coming and searching for brand names or even specific products that they've heard about through social, through word of mouth from, again, their healthcare provider. And so being able to lay out a PDP with the right content, the right mix of UGC style content, branded content, and when I say content holistically, whether that's video, imagery, text,
even
text,
audio now, right?
exactly. Text for discoverability, but then once you land on the page, do you have enough before and afters? Do you have, in the case of beauty, like, are you showing enough like pores? Are you showing enough product on skin so people can understand opacity or thickness of a lotion or just all of the things that you consider, even perceptions of shine? Is it something that's going to deliver glass skin, or is it more of a matte finish? So all of those things are things that are going to drive a purchase decision for a different user depending on what their outcome is when they're searching.
And how do you gauge that? Is it trial by error? Is it like, how do you measure that? User engagement, obviously, but are there other things that you think about to really get to the heart of how you should be leaning into PDPs?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is there's, of course, a lot of tools out there. We use a number of them to look at whether information is present or not, whether we're capturing enough traffic through from an SEO perspective. But then ultimately, a lot of the qualitative elements that are so important in beauty to understand how, again, like the viscosity of a product, the finish of a product, those are really kind of a bit more qualitative. Like, tools aren't really going to measure that level, but ultimately we look at the conversion rates, and so we're playing around with our PDPs all the time. So we'll maybe change an image or change a video or change what's in something and just look at the conversion rate of that week versus week prior. So ultimately, they're a great vehicle because of the traffic to be able to just have constant test and learn around the level of detail.
And that feedback loop is pretty instantaneous, right?
Yeah, yeah. You see the conversion change within, a few days.
Got it. Cool. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here and talk about the evolution of marketing, because I think it makes sense with what we just discussed and dovetails nicely. You described when we talked an interesting contrast between the old world of guaranteed GRPs, and look, that's still happening today. We have an upfront marketplace that's actually really right upon us here, at least in television. So you described an interesting contrast between the old world of guaranteed GRPs and television and today's environment where brands have to earn attention across thousands of digital touch points. What has been the biggest mindset shift marketers have had to make in that transition?
Well, I'd say the biggest mindset shift is understanding that you can buy GRPs, but you can't buy share of mind. Ultimately, share of mind is going to come from the content, and whether that's content that runs organically or content that runs in paid. Ultimately, I say this, like, everyone has just such a short attention span. We used to measure things that were like 15-second TVCs, then 6-second, and the social platforms measure an engaged view rate within 3 seconds. So now we have 3 seconds to even have a chance at getting a share of mind, because we all have different options. It's just a swipe away from the next piece of content. And again, that's whether you're running paid or if you think about your organic content. So having the shift to understand that buying GRPs is yes, it's a guarantee of reach, but in terms of action metrics living rent-free in someone's mind, that entirely comes from content.
Wow, we're 1 minute. Wow, 1 minute. Holy shit. Time flies when you're having fun. Does anybody have any questions? Because I want to open it up before I shuffle Kevin off stage here. That went really fast. Does anybody have any questions? We have a question over here. Do we have any mics?
We can repeat our question.
Okay.
We certainly do have mics and a mic person.
Damien, you're falling down on your job.
Look at me. I'm speaking at South by Southwest. I'm happy. Okay. My question for you is, you talked about how consumers, we have to get their attention. I love that you use that share of mind phrase. We have 3 seconds to do that. Can you talk about how long-form content plays into your strategy and what type of platforms you're leaning into there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of things. One is that understanding, I didn't even talk about it, but LLM, I mean, they certainly are critical, like building enough long-form content so that LLMs can understand many different use cases is certainly a priority for us. I mentioned as well that we're running AMAs on Reddit to stimulate conversations. Again, it's text, but it ends up being long-form content when you think about the different threads that are being developed. So those are just 2 examples of where long-form is super top of mind for us.
Cool. I think we had one more over here. Damien?
Hello. So with the saturation of the beauty market, I feel like there's a new brand every week, month, what have you. You know, Target's carrying, I think, 100 brands now. How are you guys looking at success? Are you guys looking at just defending your position in the market with the share of wallet of consumers? I feel like it's very fragmented, and where Neutrogena was, and Neutrogena specifically was, you know, a main player and still is a main player with all the novelty brands coming in. How are you guys strategically, you know, trying to reach consumers and making sure that you're defending the part of their medicine cabinet, beauty stand, etc.?
Yeah, so I think our financials have defined success, which is growth. So it's never just maintaining. So we're always looking for what audiences, what need states we have an opportunity to grow with. So we play in 5 different categories in body, hair, skin, sun, makeup. And so within each of those categories, we have different levels of brand development. So we're leaders in some categories. We are actually a challenger brand in some of those other categories that I mentioned. And so what I instill in my team is to really understand what is our point of departure and what do the challenges look like. Because, for example, being the #1 wipes brand in cleansing, the challenges are very different to grow from the top when you're #1 versus our makeup business, which is very small. And so being able to seek out growth where we don't necessarily have a huge presence, that action plan actually looks very different than growing our wipes business. And so what I love, I'll just end by saying what I love about a business like Neutrogena is, you know, we're leaders in some areas, but in others, we're the challenger. And so depending on our business plan and strategy for each category, we have very different tactics accordingly. And it keeps it real and it keeps it fresh. So we also have a taste of what it's like to be indie when you think about the size, again, for example, of our makeup business or even our body business.
Excellent. Well, I think that's, believe it or not, all the time we have here. So thank you, Kevin. That was awesome.
Thanks, Ken.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.